The cries of two newborns echoed through the dimly lit hallway of St. Joseph's Missionary Hospital in Port Harcourt. The nurse on duty rushed to the maternity ward, only to find the door ajar and a folded note pinned to the bassinet. The twins, tiny, beautiful, and oblivious to the chaos, lay wrapped in faded Ankara cloth. Their mother was nowhere in sight. The note read, "Please forgive me. I cannot raise them. Their father doesn't want them. I don't want them either. I am only 16. Let them find someone who can love them better than I ever could." That was how the story of Kamsi and Kainin began, with abandonment. They were taken in by social welfare, passed through different hands until a quiet, hard-working man named Mr. Ibube stumbled upon their story in a church bulletin. He was a widower and a carpenter with a small shop at the edge of the Ogbit market. He lived in a modest bungalow with his son, Jadena, who was barely 3 years older than the twins. Despite his own struggles, Ibube had always believed that true wealth was measured not by what one had but by how many lives one touched. He brought them home, named them Kamsiochukwu as in just as I asked God, and Kainin as in let it be. From that moment the trio became a family, not perfect, not wealthy, but genuine. Years passed. The girls grew in wisdom and beauty. Kamsi was outspoken, always eager to defend the weak. Kainin, the quieter one, had a mind sharp as a blade. Their bond with Jadena was unbreakable. He became their protector, their partner in pranks, and their best friend. Though they had little, they had love. And it was enough. But not everyone saw them through the same lens. At school their background was whispered about. They're the ones that were dumped at birth. Some sneered. Others labeled them charity cases. But the girls never wavered. They excelled in class, aced competitions, and won the hearts of many teachers. Mr. Ibube always told them, "Your beginning doesn't define your ending. Let your values speak louder than your story." Things took a harsh turn when Mr. Ibube fell from a ladder at his workshop and fractured his spine. The doctors said he might never walk again. Hospital bills piled up, and Jadena had to drop out of school to run the shop. The twins were just in their SS2 at the time. Kamsi suggested they start selling chin-chin after school. Kainin added the idea of branded packaging with handwritten notes inside each pack. "You're amazing. Keep going." What began as a humble hustle soon became a school favorite. Teachers started placing bulk orders. A neighbor who worked in a bank helped them register Kam Kai Treats as a small business. Through it all they never compromised. No cutting corners. No borrowing trouble. One day, after a long afternoon selling snacks in front of a supermarket, a woman in a flashy car beckoned Kamsi. She introduced herself as Madame Loretta, a connection woman, who helped girls get overseas cleaning jobs. "You're smart, pretty, and respectful," Madame Loretta said as she eyed Kamsi like a prized doll. Her car window was slightly tinted, but Kamsi could see the pile of designer bags in the back seat and the glint of gold on the woman's wrist. "I can get you to Dubai in 2 weeks. You'll be earning dollars. All this chin-chin struggle will be a thing of the past. Real money, my dear." Kamsi hesitated. She was 17, tired and desperate. Her sandals had holes. Their last batch of plantain chips had gone stale and they'd made a loss. Her father's medicine was running low, and there was still 1 term of school fees unpaid. The weight was heavy. "Think about it," Madame Loretta purred, slipping her a card. "But don't take too long. Offers like this don't wait forever." That night she didn't tell Kainin or Jadena. She tucked the card into her diary, curled into a ball, and cried herself to sleep. 2 days later Kamsi called the number. Madame Loretta sent a driver to pick her up. She told her twin she was going to check out a supermarket that might want to stock their snacks. The house she was taken to was in a gated estate in the outskirts of town, lush, too perfect. Inside, young girls lounged around in short dresses, smoking hookah, laughing without joy. The woman's voice dropped its sweetness. "First things first, drop your phone. No contact with outsiders. This is not boarding school, it's business. Once your passport is ready, you'll be on the next flight. But first, orientation." Orientation was a euphemism. It was a week of broken rules, stripped identities, and threats. Girls who tried to escape were dragged back. One girl, Amara, whispered to Kamsi at night, "Once you get on that flight, forget who you are. Your body won't be yours again." That night, Kamsi devised a plan. She remembered a former classmate, Yuzo, who had once joked about learning how to unlock phones even when they had passwords. He had a sister who worked with a small NGO helping trafficked girls. Using a hairpin, Kamsi unscrewed the back of a spare phone she found hidden in a drawer. She reconnected some loose wires and with trembling hands inserted her SIM card. She called Yuzo. He didn't pick. She tried again. This time he answered. Kamsi, he whispered, shocked. Where are you? Your sister has been crying all week. I need help, she said. Please. Within hours, Yuzo's sister had called contacts in the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. The house was raided at dawn. Girls screamed. Some ran. Others, too broken to move, just wept. Kamsi was taken to a safe house, where she stayed for 2 weeks. When she finally returned home, Kainin slapped her, not out of anger but out of love, heartbreak and fear. Why didn't you tell me? She cried, hugging her tightly. We could have lost you. I was just tired, Kamsi said through sobs. Tired of scraping, tired of hoping. Jadena, holding back tears, handed her a note their father had written the night she disappeared. It simply read, If I lose any of you, I have nothing. That night, the twins sat awake till dawn. They talked, dreamed and made a vow. No shortcuts. No silence. No more pretending we're okay when we're not. They doubled down on their hustle. Using some leftover chin-chin, Kainin experimented with honey and sesame seeds to create a new snack. Jadena, who had been learning basic carpentry from a friend, built a wooden cart with compartments for different snacks and a foldable umbrella for shade. They rebranded to Kamkai Treats, a blend of their names, their bond, and their resilience. A kind family friend helped them secure a 50,000 Nigerian nairas microloan. It wasn't much, but it meant they could buy in bulk and package professionally. They started supplying to corner shops and mini-marts around Enugu. Their handwritten notes in each pack, "You're amazing. Keep going," became a signature of hope. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. Their school organized an annual entrepreneurship pitch competition for final-year students. Most saw it as just another school event, but for Kainin, it felt like a door waiting to be kicked open. With Jadena's help on numbers and Kamsi's sharp branding ideas, Kainin took the stage and told their story, not as victims but as visionary builders. She spoke of how they turned rejection into resilience, chin-chin into capital, and pain into purpose. The judges listened, spellbound. But one in particular, Mrs. Ozioma, did more than clap. She rose from her seat, walked to the stage and said, "You don't need to win this competition. You've already won something far greater. Let me mentor you." That marked the beginning of a new chapter. Under Mrs. Ozioma's guidance, Kamkai Treats scaled like wildfire. With her help, they developed a brand identity, launched a sleek e-commerce site, and learned how to run operations professionally. They moved production out of their kitchen into a rented space with actual machines. Soon, they hired 4 young girls from their neighborhood, girls who had once considered dangerous shortcuts just like Kamsi almost had. By the time they turned 20, Kamkai Treats was stocked in supermarkets across the southeast. They were invited to speak at youth summits and entrepreneurship boot camps. Their story went viral after being featured in The Guardian. The headline read, "Abandoned at birth, now feeding a nation's spirit, meet the Kamkai twins." It was that headline that reached Ifeoma. She was sitting under a dryer in a fancy hair salon in Owerri when she saw their faces on the lifestyle page. The names hit her first, Kamsiochukwu and Kainin. Then the photo. She dropped her phone. Her heart pounded. Her past had caught up with her in the most glorious way. She had spent years burying the memory of the baby she left at the hospital gate. Guilt followed her into motherhood again with her 2 other children. Every birthday was a painful reminder of what she had walked away from. But seeing those girls, her girls, now strong, accomplished, and loved by the world, cracked something open in her chest. She booked a bus to Enugu that night. 2 days later, the twins were in their modest office reviewing sales numbers when a woman walked in, accompanied by a nervous receptionist. "I'm Ifeoma," the woman said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I gave birth to you." The room stilled. Jadena stepped in front of the twins protectively, his broad frame almost shielding them from the past. "What do you want?" he asked, cold and measured. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," she said, eyes wet. "I've made peace with God, but not with myself." Kainin looked her in the eye. Her voice was steady. "We've heard a lot about you, Ma. We don't hate you. We just don't know you." Kamsi added softly, "We're grateful for one thing, you gave us life. But family isn't just blood. It's who stayed." Ifeoma nodded, her chin trembling. "I understand. I'll leave my number. In case you ever want to talk." She walked out the door slowly. They didn't call her. Weeks passed. The incident sat between the twins like an unopened letter. Then one evening as the sun dipped behind the mango tree in their backyard, their father, Mr. Ibube, sat them down. He had read the newspaper story too. And he had recognized the pain behind their poise when Ifeoma's name came up. "I'm not your real father," he said, his voice low but full of weight. "But I have loved you as if I were. And love, real love, doesn't keep people chained to anger." He paused, looking at the girls he had raised like his own. "You don't have to welcome her into your life," he continued, "but don't let bitterness become your inheritance. Your hearts have survived fire. Don't let them harden now." That night, the twins wrote Ifeoma a letter. They didn't invite her into their lives right away, but they opened a door, one she could knock on again. Over the months there were cautious text messages. Then phone calls. Then coffee meetups. Eventually tentative hugs. Forgiveness didn't come overnight. It came with tears, with questions, and with silence. But it came. And life went on. Kamkai treats expanded beyond Enugu, into Port Harcourt, Asaba, Abuja. Kamsi won a scholarship to study business administration at the University of Lagos. Kainin pursued food science and technology at a federal polytechnic and began experimenting with healthier versions of their snacks. Jadena, now managing director of the company, married Amaka, a fellow entrepreneur whose bakery supplied Kamkai with custom wrappers and flour. Then came Mr. Ibub's 70th birthday. The compound was lit with laughter, music, and sweet scents of food. Guests had traveled from far and wide to honor the man who had raised two daughters the world had nearly discarded. When it was time for speeches, Mr. Ibub stood slowly, cane in hand, and faced the crowd. He smiled, eyes brimming with tears. "I did not father these girls," he began. "But God, in his kindness, gave them to me. And in raising them I became a better man. They taught me that no life is too broken to rebuild. That pain doesn't have to destroy, it can shape. They are my pride, my legacy. My daughters." People stood, clapping through their tears. Kamsi and Kainin rushed to hug him from both sides. His arms wrapped around their waist. In that moment, the past felt far behind them. Ifeoma was there too, sitting at the back beside her new husband, her eyes red but grateful. She didn't try to steal the spotlight. She just watched, her heart full. In a world where beginnings often define people forever, Kamsi and Kainin had done the impossible. They had rewritten their story, not in spite of their pain but through it. They had risen. And in their rise they had carried others with them.